Okay, so as we go ahead and look at this course, you kind of made a list of comments and things on this one that I will add to. Now, on the opening, you talked about you did more of a running start on 1-2 where I did the lead out, and I absolutely think that's the best option for you. So when I run these in full, I very much run them how the dog that I choose to run them needs. It by no means doesn't mean that that's what everybody should be doing, and I think that's what can really separate a good handler from a great handler is looking at a course and saying, okay, this dog needs this skill and this dog needs this skill, and not just running every dog with a cookie cutter formula. So I certainly don't think that the lead out push option would have been a great one for you. And I actually think that another choice that you could have done on this was to consider going to the outside. So coming over on this jump and turning this way. I think distance wise, it's going to be pretty equal distance from that wing back to the tunnel. Either wing back to the tunnel versus this wing back to the tunnel. So I think distance-wise, you're looking at pretty similar. And going to the right just eliminates some of that tight wrapping and that tight curling. So one alternative would have actually just been to go ahead and consider going to the outside. And you could have done that as a basic forward send if you would like. So there were a lot of ways to do that. This turn went nicely, sending to the backside and having good trust to get downstream. And there were also some options down on this section that I think you maybe could have looked at. I don't know that there would have been anything better. One thing that I looked at as you ran this was the possibility of, rather than coming over and going all the way to this far wing, what would it look like to come over and then come to this wing? So as we've talked about with him before, we got to balance yardage as well, not just looking at the jumping effort and saying, okay, I want to go for the slice versus the curl, but look at the yardage too. So going all the way to the far wing may have been greater yardage versus if you had basically kind of come up at this point front cross. So then as he came around, front cross pulled him to this wing and come back around. So I don't know that it would have been faster. It certainly would have been another option for you to consider. But execution on this, all very nice. You have very good commitment on the backsides. I feel good trust on the backsides and got that front cross done. You can see you're already showing the weave poles by the time he lands off of that jump, which is a crucial part for getting that entry. Now getting downstream into the tunnel, this was a section that you had run into trouble on. And I think the biggest thing on this rep right here is just that you open up out of the front cross and move lateral. So you start moving this direction before you have the commitment to the backside. So coming out of the backside, you can be saying around or push or giving your verbal as early as you want. But because you're coming out of the tunnel, you still got to wait on the dog to see the jump, acknowledge front side versus backside, and then get to the backside. And I didn't feel like that happened. You came through the front cross, and you can see here, you already start moving to your left before he really even sees the jump. At this point, you can see he's kind of behind you. So he doesn't even really see the jump, and then you're already moving out of the way. So now you step out of the way, and it's, oh, there's the jump, and he's already over it to the front side. So one of the things that may have allowed a little bit more spatial awareness for you to be able to position yourself and let him see the jump would have been a blind there, right? So rather than spinning on the front, doing the blind, and then you could have known where that jump was. I think, as you open up out of the front cross, if we just look at the opening up out of the front cross, now granted he's in the tunnel and he doesn't know this. We just look at the front, you're very out of position, right? Right here, you open up the front and you realize, oh crap, the jump's here. So you have to save it by running backwards, right? So you save it by kind of pedaling over here to get off the line, and then that's the motion that he sees out of the tunnel. So I think you would have had a little bit better spatial awareness on that had you done the blind cross. I mean, the dogs are in the tunnel, so they're not going to see whether you front or blind anyway, so do what's easiest for you. Your knees will generally appreciate the choice of the blind cross. So here we come back through the opening. Again, very nice. Definitely choosing to run with him is the better choice. And this part, all good. You did handle it the same way. Execution was good. There were some options. Like I said, he's pretty good at the slices and keeping up the speed, but he's also a very efficient turner, so that certainly would have had to have been something to play around with. So now coming through on this part here, you do take your time, and you actually can see it starts with just a better front cross. So watch on the front cross. By the time you open it, you are in a great position. So earlier when you opened up, you were way over here. If you recall, when you opened up, the jump was actually behind you. Now you can see you're over here opening up on the front cross, which just that in itself presents a better line to the backside. But I did not feel like the bar was a result of anything you did. You sent to the backside, you stepped in for the blind cross. who knows why the bar came down. I don't think of him as being a bar knocker, but I didn't feel like it was your handling choice or even necessarily your execution on that. Another nice wrap coming down through here and into the tunnel. And then on the ending, straight on out here, getting that spin out over the last two jumps. So glad the spin worked really well. Even with the spin, you can still use your in verbal on this jump just to make sure you get the correct side of the jump if needed. So good work on this. This was certainly one of the more difficult courses, and you did great with it. Lots of backsides on this, lots of places to make decisions on curls versus slices.